Hello. Today I'd like to discuss some of Steel Wool's non-FNAF games. I don't see people talking about them as much as Scott Cawthon's early work, so I wanted to bring them up for discussion. Before Steel Wool Studios became widely known for their work on Five Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted, and Security Breach, the studio spent years experimenting with different genres, tones, and technologies. Founded primarily by former Pixar animators, Steel Wool's early catalog reflects a team learning how to translate high-end animation skills into interactive experiences, sometimes successfully, sometimes awkwardly, but always interestingly. Flyhunter Origins, 2014. Steel Wool's debut title was Flyhunter Origins, a 2.5D action platformer and the studio's only non-VR game before FNAF. You play as Zack, a clumsy alien janitor aboard a spaceship called the Frog. After accidentally ejecting the crew and a cargo of valuable insects into space, where they crash land on Earth, Zack is forced to become a fly hunter to clean up his mistake before the investors find out. Gameplay consists mostly of side-scrolling platforming through miniature environments like flower gardens and ant colonies. Zack uses a stun gun, a jetpack, and a fly swatter, described the game as a lightsaber/fly swatter hybrid. Each episode ends with a flying chase sequence, similar to something out of Star Fox. While the platforming itself is fairly basic, the animation is the standout feature. Reviewers consistently praise the expressive characters and smooth cutscenes, clearly influenced by the team's Pixar background. That said, the game wasn't without issues. Sound design was often criticized, and tutorials tended to over-explain mechanics, using faux scientific jargon rather than clear instructions. Core: Battle for Gate 18, 2016. Steel Wool's second game, Core: Battle for Gate 18, marked their first step into virtual reality. Based on the tabletop system This Core's War, the game is a turn-based strategy experience set in the whimsical world of Alwood, where anteater-like creatures called Core have been locked in a World War I-style conflict for over 700 years. In VR, players can view the battlefield from a god's eye perspective, or shrink down to soldier height to observe the action from the trenches. The game includes over a dozen missions, 18 unit types, and a base building system that lets you improve morale, air support, and other resources between battles. While ambitious, Battle for Gate 18 suffered from technical issues, especially on modern hardware. Bugs, teleportation problems, and a general lack of polish led many players to view it as a step down from Flyhunter Origins despite its more complex design. Mars Odyssey, 2016. Released the same year, Mars Odyssey was less of a traditional game and more of an educational VR experience. Developed using real NASA schematics and terrain data, it allows players to explore Mars and interact with full-scale rovers. Players complete short, guided missions, repairing equipment, clearing solar panels, or moving rovers during sandstorms, while learning about Martian geography and space exploration. While visually impressive and authentic, the experience was criticized for being overly on rails, with limited interactivity, and a short runtime that many felt didn't justify its price. Bounce, 2016. Later that year, Steel Wool released Bounce, a VR physics-based puzzle game that many consider their strongest pre-FNAF title. Players guide a small spherical robot named D1GB through 50 increasingly complex levels by building paths using planks, half-pipes, trampolines, and accelerator rings. The game fully embraces VR, allowing players to manipulate objects in 3D space. Reviewers praised its physicality, creativity, and polish, especially compared to Steel Wool's earlier VR efforts. A scoring system rewards efficiency and style, encouraging experimentation. For many, Bounce felt like the moment Steel Wool truly figured out VR design. The Forgotten War: Betrayal at Kolth, 2017. Another often overlooked entry in Steel Wool's early catalog is the Horus Heresy: Betrayal at Kolth, the studio's most ambitious pre-FNAF project. Released in early access in 2017, the game was a turn-based tactical skirmish title set in the grimdark universe of Warhammer 40,000, based on the Games Workshop board game of the same name. The game focused on the underground war between the Ultramarines and the Word-Bearers, and featured a unique hybrid design. Players could experience the game traditionally on a standard monitor, or step into VR to command their units from a ground-level perspective. This allowed players to see massive units, like Contemptor dreadnoughts, at true scale, something that perfectly aligned with Steel Wool's animation-focused background. Despite offering a full campaign and multiplayer support, Betrayal at Call struggled to maintain an audience. UI problems and the challenge of adapting dense tabletop mechanics to a digital format ultimately held it back. The game was removed from Steam in 2020, making it a rare piece of Steelwool lost media for newer fans. Ready Player One, Oasis Beta, Battle for the Oasis, 2018. Steelwool's final major project before FNAF was Battle for the Oasis, a wave-based VR shooter developed as part of the Ready Player One, Oasis Beta. While visually ambitious, the game launched with poor reviews and was largely abandoned shortly after release. It served as Steelwool's last experiment before shifting focus entirely to Five Nights at Freddy's. Looking back, Steelwool Studios' early years were mostly bumpy. Each project had flaws, whether technical issues, limited interactivity, or uneven design, but together they show a clear progression. Across these games, Steelwool refined their strengths in animation, atmosphere, and VR interaction. Those lessons would eventually pay off, laying the groundwork for the studio's breakout success with FNAF, Help Wanted, and beyond. Steelwool's Five Nights at Freddy's games, for better or worse, have reshaped the lore and given us a clean, ambitious lineup of titles that fit well within the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my channel for more content. I've also made videos covering Scott Cawthon's early work, so be sure to check those out as well.